Hi guys, my name is Pema Donsela and welcome to my channel. Welcome to today's talk. Today I want to talk about preliminary examinations, which is also commonly known as trial. Why are they important and what are the things that learners need to draw from them as they embark on this journey 2021. So the first thing is that a trial or a prelim is a formal assessment that forms part of the 25% year mark that a learner works towards, and then the other 75% comes purely from the exam. So it has a contribution to that, so it should be treated with the utmost seriousness by learners because of that. That's the first thing. That's why it's important. It's because it's a formal assessment that forms part of the marks or 25%. Then the second thing is that each trial or a prelim it's a snapshot, it's a preview, it's a trailer of what the exam is gonna look like. So you get to feel the anxiety, you get to feel the experience. It's one thing making use of past question papers, but you cannot from the question papers get that feeling of what the person felt like. It's only through the trial or prelim that you get to understand the emotions related to preparing, related to also writing. So it serves as a dry run for a exam. So you are also able to make certain assessments on a personal level that based on the feedback that you will receive, your trial results or your prelim result, did you do well? How did you do? What does that say about your level of preparedness for the final examination? And also it speaks to how you prepared. Did you have a plan in place? How did your plan look like? Did your plan yield the results you desired? If yes, then that's good. That's what you need to maintain and polish on. But if not, then you need to start understanding, where did it go wrong? Out of all the things that I was doing, which of them negatively affected me? Here, it requires a lot of honesty. And if you can't be honest with yourself, you need to get a second opinion, or you need to get somebody else's opinion. This could be, your parent, your older brother, older sister, even a teacher, though they might not be exposed to certain things, but things like time management. Were you managing your time properly? Were you prioritizing the correct tasks? Sometimes you are not honest with the fact that you are just spending too much time on TikTok. We are spending too much time on WhatsApp and Facebook and whatever other social media platforms that you make use of. You are not being honest about that. It's not that there wasn't enough time. It's how you allocate that time to the things that you want to do. Yes, you can spend time on TikTok. Like TikTok, it's a topic for another day. When I discovered it, I almost failed, right? So sometimes you think, I'm just taking a 10 minutes break, and that 10 minutes turns into 2 hours. Like, it flies, you can't even see. So you need to be honest with how you prepared, and if there are things that you need to let go of. At some point, I did uninstall the app. I'm talking about this year when I'm doing my PGC. I'm not talking about when I was in grade 12. So at some point, I had to uninstall the app to bring back that discipline, because it was so difficult. There's so much content and it keeps on coming and coming and coming, and eventually you lose track of time. So it's quite important that you're honest with yourself with regards to how you manage your time and how you allocate tasks, how you prioritize, what do you do before what. Your sequence of tasks is also important. Sometimes you start by TikTok and end with the studying, while you should probably start with the studying and end with the TikTok. So it's quite important that you balance and you prioritize your tasks effectively, right? Then prelim also offers you the opportunity to identify your areas of improvement, and your areas of competence, right? So when you're competent in something, it's already a tick in a box. It means that if the prelim covered 70% of the work, and between the prelim and the final examination, it's 30% of the work remaining, which means you've probably already passed, right? So you have less of work to do. And on the other 70%, you are just left with the revision, which is quite cool. But if there are areas that needs to be improved, that needs to be addressed, then you need to have an action plan as to how you are going to address those issues. Your starting point, you would need to start befriending your teacher. Ask more questions. I always talk about fear of missing out. Do not miss out on an opportunity to ask the teacher a question. I always made sure to be asking or answering, because sometimes we have the perception that people that ask are the people that struggle. No, actually the people that it shows where they're thinking, it shows where they're engaged. So that's why they always say there's nothing like a stupid question. It's because of things like that. So it's quite important to get that you always make sure that you ask. Ask relevant stuff though. Don't be the annoying one that asks for attention seeking, right? So ask questions. That increases your scope of the things that you understand. If you, for example, you've probably asked the teacher already, it might be also a time to engage with your parents and find a tutor to address some of the topics that are problematic to you. So understand what is the role of a tutor into your academic life. They are not there to take over what you should be learning. They are not there to relieve you from your role as a learner, and they're not there to do your work. So it's quite important that we understand what the role of the tutor is, what the role of the teacher is, and what is your role as a learner. So then when you have a tutor, you're able to, at the comfort of your space, probably where you're more comfortable, where there's no bullying, where there's no setup that is not comfortable, like in the classroom, where whenever you do certain things, you think of what will they say, what will they think of me if I ask, if I do this is how they will take me. So in that space, that is where you can be as weak and as dumb as you want to be. Ask as much as you can. Do as many exercises as possible. So that is what it affords you. It becomes your wake-up call. Am I ready? Because what it does is that it forces you or encourages you to start preparing for the exam intentionally. Because if it wasn't here, you don't have like a reference point, So it becomes very important to get that you go through this trial, get that feedback, use that feedback to improve and develop yourself and your readiness for the final exam, right? Because when you go through the trial, you will go through all the emotions. Firstly, you will start to understand the standard in which they are asking the questions, the language that they use, how they are tricking you. There's just so many things that you will be able to take away from a trial. The pressure, the writing within 3 hours, because usually some of the assessments during the course of the year are not necessarily 3 hours papers because of the amount of work that you are writing about. So that 3 hours, you will realize, it runs so fast. Or you will also get the sense that, no, it's quite enough if I manage my work properly. What is your strategy when you come across a question paper to ensure that you finish the exam? Because if you don't have a game plan, when you sit, that 30 minutes remaining will be your worst nightmare. You don't want to leave questions that are not attempted. You don't want to run out of time. I can promise you that 3 hours is enough for somebody who's prepared. So you need to prepare yourself for that paper. And when you get to that, when you're writing the trial, it gives you a sense of, will I be able to finish? Am I gonna thrive or survive under that pressure? If you start cracking, then you at least have some time to pull yourself together, to re-strategize. And if you struggle to finish that paper, it tells you that you need to go back to your drawing board, start planning, start practicing, start studying, and equally so, start practicing those 3 hours sit-in. Randomly on a weekend, Saturday or Sunday, take a paper, just sit and write for 3 good hours. That is how I did it. I'm not talking about something that I read. That's how I did. That's what my messenger always said. He always said, you need to practice that 3 hour sit-in, because firstly, it's about discipline. Will you be able to sit at your own expense for 3 hours without any interruption? Because that is how you're going to go through the trial paper and through the final examinations. There's no one invigilating you. There's nobody who's on your toes or on your neck or who's following you around. So it needs to be something that comes from within. If you are able to do that, write those papers without anybody's supervision and finish them. Finishing them doesn't mean you're gonna get 100%. It just means that you gave it your fair attempt. The way I was so prepared for my examinations, all my papers were written in 2 hours 30 minutes. 2 hours 30 minutes I was done. The last 30 minutes I was going through quality work. I was auditing and checking my work, spelling, calculations, every single thing. And I had little to no errors because of the level of preparedness. It's not magic. That 3 hours is enough. It's so unfortunate that sometimes they take that paper away and you were still writing and you were not done and you did not get to even check the quality of your work. So basically what I would do was I would write for 2 hours. So whenever you write, try and write the paper in 2 hours and not 3. The first 30 minutes, what I used to do with it was I would read the whole question paper without attempting anything. I would read it from start to finish, get the sense of what is in there, connect with the paper on that level. Okay, based on what I studied, how I studied, and what I know, what is my take? It's not meant for you to panic. So I would read it like 2-3 times, and then start writing the sequence, for example, of which one I think I'm more comfortable answering first. Because to be quite honest, some of these questions, when you read them the second time, the interpretation is different because it's English and English, so it's quite important that you read and make sure that you understand the question, you understand what is required of you. And for you to be able to do that, you need to have practiced using past question papers, which is another topic on how to effectively use past question papers, because we all can access them, but we all use them differently. And there's some that use them effectively to their advantage and the results show. So it's very important that 30 minutes or 15 minutes you reserve just for reading, just to calm the nerve, just to calm down and relax. And it's like you're on your marks, type of vibe. So you need to at least feel, I stand a good chance here. I'm confident. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to start with the topics that I understand. And you just go for it. And you need to just practice how to write fast and how to think fast, and that coordination. Then the last 30 minutes or 15 minutes, you do quality checks, you check your work, make sure that your the details on the front cover are fine, everything is okay, you underlined, you did everything, you put in the units of certain things. That is how I use my time for that. What I did though was that I tried as much as possible when I write, I pay attention to detail so that I do something right first time and never have to go back to it. But it's satisfying to have time to go through my work again and make sure that I answered all the questions. Because sometimes you respond and you skip. You say, I'll come back to this. So it gives you that time to go back to certain questions and start filling in the gaps, because every mark is quite important. So time management there, strategy, game plan, it's very important. Like you just have to have a strategy, and if you don't, that will be your defeat. So it's very important where you do that. I think all the best, guys. Like I really wish you the best for a prelim. Last year was a tough year also, and you guys are under a lot of pressure, and I understand, but I just want to plead with you, take it easy. I think the one thing is that do your best, man. Do your best. If you can go back and be like, you know what, I gave it my all. I gave it all my fiber. Even if all your fiber is not 70, it's still your best. Just make sure that you leave no stone unturned. Guys, this phase, you'll be like, I'm super tired. But really, like, take it easy. Another important thing is that you need to factor in time to rest, because sometimes we want to work like machines because we want it so bad. Take time out and rest, even if it's 30 minutes or 1 hour. Just rest and do nothing, because if nature forces you to rest, its timing, it's not gonna be in your favor. It's not going to be in your favor. So I'd like to plead with you on that one. Don't do a marathon thing. Prepare every day so that you don't pull all these one night, overnight, cross-nighting. Like, no, guys, no, don't do that. Because you need to be fresh and effective in your writing. So take it easy, but still do it. Take it easy does not mean stop doing things that you must do. It doesn't mean that start lazing around. It just means that balance your time and also factor in resting into your planning so that you can, guys, drive from here to Cape Town without resting. That is what you need to do as well. Factor in those smolanyana breaks where you just don't do anything, no phone, no books, not thinking about school, and just focus on you for that moment, because it's quite important to also check in with yourself. There's a lot of issues around I'm going off topic but there's a lot of issues around mental health, anxiety, depression, and final exam. You want it so bad, like you really want it so bad, but don't neglect your health in the process. It would be good to still have you and have those great results. And I wish you all the best, guys. Leave your comments on the section below. Ask questions. If you need a copy of my book, you can just send me a WhatsApp on 064-685-9475. There's another book, by the way. It's called Finishing Matric with Distinctions, Lessons from A Students in South Africa. Because the one thing is that my first book, How I Aced Matric, was really about me and what I did. But there should be best practices from most or all the A students in the country. They are probably doing something. And from what I gathered is that it's things that you can adopt. It's things that you can adapt to. It's not like some people are born great. Some of this greatness we create ourselves based on the situations that we find ourselves in. And the fact that we want to change where we come from, we want to change what our future looks like. So then we start adapting, changing our mindset, changing our habits, changing how we talk to ourselves, changing our strategies, changing also who we engage with. So it's quite important to get. So it's a great book. Also, it's available on an ebook for 100 Rand, and it's also available on a pre-order for 150. Yeah, until we meet. Finish.